The following program is the work of the broadcast students at the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT Magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland which were produced over the last week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their instructors.
Coming up on BCIT Magazine, the city of Vancouver fills with protesters.
Students lend a hand to help low-income people.
And sports car enthusiasts have a run-in with the law.
Hello and welcome to BCIT Magazine at the Vancouver Lookout. I'm Natalia Cuevas-Waiko.
And I'm Owen Simpson. The third annual Women's March brought out hundreds of people to come out and support gender equality. Here's our reporter, Laura Johnston.
3, 2, 1. Time's up!
Crowds gathered for the third year in a row to support the 2019 Women's March, and the message remains the same.
No consent, no pipeline!
With Canadian politics in the air, this year's theme focused away from the U.S. and on justice for all. Speakers focused on issues right here at home, like the missing and murdered Indigenous women, Trudeau's pipeline battles, the rights of people with disabilities, and sexual harassment.
I say resist, you say persist. Resist.
Amongst the crowds is one passionate group of students from Surrey and their teacher who came to support on her day off.
Right, intersectional empowerment for all is the idea.
These young leaders are hoping to use their participation in the event to inspire their fellow students.
Like, kids at school might not necessarily ever really come to these kind of things, but because of us, now that they know that these things are happening here and that you can attend these things and that you can have your voice heard and you can learn so much about other people and other struggles.
And teacher Annie Ohana is no stranger to expanding her classroom into the real world.
It's what I teach. I teach social justice. You cannot do this in an office in a four-walled classroom.
These students attend LA Matheson Secondary, where their social justice club, Mustang Justice, is one of their most popular. Ohana says one of the most important things to do is to listen to teachers and to listen to students.
There's a lot of people, I think, without a voice, such as like the missing Indigenous women, and we're bringing voices to them by being here and educating people about the problems we see.
Ohana was happy to see other teachers' faces in the crowd and looks forward to seeing even more schools represented next year. Laura Johnston in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
We're now joined by Laura. Can you give us an idea of what it was like at the march?
Yeah, so as you saw from the footage, there were hundreds of people here gathered at downtown Vancouver outside the art gallery to show their support for the Women's March today. There were people of all shapes and sizes and backgrounds, and someone actually asked me if this was the Women's March because there were so many men here today, and it just goes to show that how much of Vancouver supports the cause.
And so who organized the event?
Yeah, the event was organized by March On Vancouver, which is an organization affiliated with Women's March, which works internationally to have these women's marches in many big cities around the world. And a lot of the volunteers today were students from UBC, students from SFU, a lot of Indigenous activists and activists that are local, as well as high school students. And I spoke to a few of them, as you saw, from LA Matheson Secondary in Surrey. Back to you.
Thank you, Laura. A report with allegations of government misconduct has been released regarding two BC legislature officials. The report outlines claims of fraud and lavish spending. The two deny any wrongdoing.
The controversial ad has been making headlines after it sparked a heated online debate. Our Sahil Marar has the story.
Last Sunday, an ad surfaced on YouTube that sparked a huge online conversation. Grooming company Gillette released an ad that showed toxic masculinity in the home, workplace, and in the public. The ad showed men harassing women, fathers standing idly by as their sons were wrestling, donning the phrase "boys will be boys," and continued with men stepping into these situations to diffuse them, showing toxic masculinity in our everyday lives. Following the release of the ad, Many took to the internet to voice their concerns and support.
I remember when I first looked at it, I was quite excited about it and thought it was interesting, but certainly the more I looked at it and the more feedback I started seeing online, the dialogue going on online, I started to question it. I didn't think it was necessarily a really strong and effective ad to be out there. There are some challenges with it that I think could be better. Its reputation as far as its brand goes, well, there's lots of companies out there that are, or lots of shows and programs out there that are already spoofing it. There's lots of memes online. So it's definitely taken a bit of a brand hit.
The recent trend of selling a lifestyle rather than just a product has been popping up with multi-million-dollar companies such as Nike and their Colin Kaepernick ad, as well as the highly criticized and very controversial Pepsi ad featuring Kendall Jenner. However, this trend does date back to the 60s, where Coca-Cola used the American dream to sell their products. Sahil Morar in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
BCIT's Ecological Restoration Club is working on a handful of projects, hoping to turn back time. Our producer, Haider Nayani, has more.
We're here with May White, the president of BCIT's Ecological Restoration Club. How's it going, May?
Good. Thanks for having me, Haider.
Thank you for giving us the time. So yeah, tell us a little bit about this club. What do you guys do?
Sure. We're a club that focuses on providing training and networking opportunities in applied ecology for students from all different diplomas and degrees at BCIT.
Okay, interesting. So like what kind of events is your club putting on every year? What's I guess the primary goal?
Our primary goal is to provide our members with opportunities that they might not have access to otherwise. And we do restoration on a plot of Gillettes Creek that was invaded, if you will, by Himalayan blackberry. And we host a number of social events as well.
I was wondering if you could maybe dive into a little bit of detail for one of these projects and just kind of like give us a little bit of insight of what a restoration project actually looks like.
So restoration, as I said, involves returning a site to a pre-disturbance state. Sometimes that can be a little tricky because you might not have a record of what exactly was there before. The plot we're restoring on Gillettes Creek used to be a monoculture of Himalayan blackberry, so that was the only thing that was there. And then in 2015, we started planning with a couple other student and faculty organizations a way to bring back more representative native vegetation communities.
Is there any risk of actually making things worse?
It's always a possibility. So before you do anything to a restoration site, you want to do some baseline monitoring to find out what's there now and how the different biotic and abiotic factors are interacting with one another.
So if someone's interested in your club, how can they find out some more information?
I'm the one who answers the emails, so feel free to email me, ser.bcit@gmail.com. We can add you to the mailing list or sign you up to get you started volunteering.
Thanks so much for doing this again.
Yeah,
Appreciate
my pleasure.
Back to you.
A local bike shop in Vancouver is refurbishing bikes and giving them away to low-income individuals. My co-anchor Natalia Cuevas-Huayco has the story.
The Bike Kitchen is a shop that provides an environment where cyclists learn to fix bicycles and purchase parts at affordable prices. The profits raised by the Bike Kitchen are used to fund community outreach programs like Pedal for the People.
For the People is the program that we are running tonight at Volunteer Night. We are given a list of folks in the city who need bikes but can't afford them, and then we refurbish bikes that would otherwise end up in the landfill so that people can get these bikes for free.
The program was founded by a nonprofit organization called Our Community Bikes. Thorin says the program is confidential and that the application process is easy.
One of the reasons why the Bike Kitchen has stepped in to be of assistance with this program is because the waiting list is currently very long. People are waiting a year to a year and a half to get a bicycle.
Thorin says the number of applications received is overwhelming and that they need more volunteers to help fix up bikes for everyone. During building party nights like this one, volunteers learn basic bike mechanic skills while giving back to the community.
One of the big jobs for volunteers here is to take apart bikes that we've deemed that we can't really fix. A lot of the stuff you see out front here are donated bikes, and those have been fixed up.
Volunteers and bicycle mechanics work in tandem at the shop to provide future owners with safe and sustainable bikes. This is an operation they hope will continue. I'm Natalia Cuevas-Waiko in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Coming up after the break, a look at BCIT's career fair through the eyes of a student.
And Vancouver drivers feel they're being unfairly targeted.
A defining moment for me was when I finished my first internship and got lots of really great feedback from industry professionals.
I would have never imagined I'd be walking into the floors of TSN and thinking, I'm not a student anymore, I'm here to work.
I will be starting a job with an investigative news program in Toronto, and I'm really excited to see that grow into what will become, hopefully, my dream job.
BCIT Broadcast and Online Journalism, putting you to work.
If you want to get out this weekend, Vancouver's got you covered.
Here's a look at some events you definitely want to mark your calendars with.
Kick up this weekend with free music on the Orpheum Theatre on Saturday. The Vancouver Symphony Orchestra wants you to join them for 100 years since their first performance in 1919. The music starts beginning at 9:30 in the morning and ends at 9:30 in the evening.
Do you like food? I know you do. You should check out the Vancouver Street Food City. It'll take place at the Vancouver Art Gallery, and you'll get the chance to try a bunch of different food from a variety of Vancouver street food vendors.
And if you're feeling a little bit chilly, why not check out Vancouver's 9th Annual Hot Chocolate Fest. Full of 30 participants and 70 different flavors. You've got things from dark chocolate to matcha smooth white hot chocolates. If you want more information about who's participating near you, go to hotchocolatefest.com.
That was your community calendar for January 24th. Have a great weekend.
Welcome back. Some performance car enthusiasts around the Lower Mainland believe they are being targeted by Vancouver police. My co-anchor Owen Simpson hit the streets to investigate.
They're not getting tickets, but for performance car owners, it sure feels like it. At the Speed Syndicate shop, the owner says he's seeing more mandatory police-issued vehicle inspections than ever before.
Yeah, they can't dispute it, which is the crummy part. Yeah, it kind of leaves the customer high and dry, in a sense. Like, guys are getting pulled over in factory M3s, being told that their exhausts are too loud. It's factory. It made it through a federal inspection. DOT determined that it was, or CPSC determined that those cars were okay to be brought in.
The notice police hands out requires drivers to get their car looked at by a certified inspector. That costs $150, takes several hours, and is non-disputable. Officers hand out notices if they feel a vehicle is unsafe, possibly because of bald tires, exhaust hanging off the car, or modifications that are deemed a risk. But performance cars tend to have loud exhausts and lower suspensions for better handling. Some car owners believe they're being singled out only because of the look and sound of their cars. One BMW owner says he was pulled over for too much camber or having wheels slanted at too high an angle from the road.
And I'm pretty sure I was well within the limits. The officer told me that I had too much camber, but I don't have camber plates, and pretty sure I don't have excessive camber on the car. Like all cars have camber anyway. The guy said during the inspection, he said, like, he was laughing at it. He said, your car has no problem passing it.
Vancouver police admit they're not car experts, but they feel it's their responsibility to ensure people are safe on the road.
It's the subjective observation and opinion of each individual officer that issues this notice and orders to the reasons why they feel that a vehicle might not be safe for the road. As we said before, we're not mechanics.
One group of car owners intend to challenge the law in courts so that regulations are more clear. Owen Simpson in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine. 51-year-old Henry Thomas has been charged with failing to provide the necessaries of life. Police allege that a toddler died in his care due to a venomous snake bite in 2014. The child was returned to her mother, but a mere few hours later, they received a call that the child had died. Police found snakes and related equipment in Thomas's home.
Students at BCIT got the chance to meet with potential employers and get a sense of the job market. Our reporter Sahil Morar has the story.
This semester brought the business industry to BCIT with various marketing, software engineering, and accounting firms for their quarterly Industry Days career fair. Simran Bambra is a first-year BCIT marketing student who took us through her experience at Industry Days, which began in anticipation the day before.
I really want to be able to talk to BC Ferries, mainly because there's such a big monopoly in Vancouver, and Vancouver being the busy city as it is, it's a great way for people to transport in general, and to be a part of their marketing team or introduce myself to their marketing team would be so great to introduce creative strategies to help them further their promotions.
Over the course of the day, more than 35 companies got to meet, greet, and scope out potential employees coming from BCIT.
I find that BCIT has the best candidates. I only like to recruit from BCIT. Wow. I just think everyone here has like a really good work ethic.
Bambra spent the rest of her day meeting with potential employers and exploring careers she otherwise would never have thought about.
I've definitely learned how to approach different types of companies. So I've noticed that with one of our other booths, it was a technology but marketing based company, which was really nice to know because I didn't know that was an actual designation that you could focus on in the market.
Sahil Morar in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
I'm a marketing student.
There you go.
Awesome.
So it's a great...
We're joined by Sahil Morar now. What different kinds of companies were at the career day?
Well, it being a business-themed career fair, there were a lot of business-oriented companies there. You could expect anywhere from marketing and accounting to software engineering as well. There were a diverse range of companies there, such as Destination Auto, the Omni Group, Procurify, and within those companies there were a lot of HR, sales, marketing management, and upper-level management positions available. Back to you.
A new TransLink report recommends an extension of the Millennium Line from Arbutus to UBC's Point Grey campus. Its estimated cost could be up to $3.8 billion. The Mayor's Council is expected to make a decision over the coming months.
Vancouver City Council has approved a motion to introduce free transit to youth, but one council member wasn't happy. My co-anchor Owen Simpson asked commuters what they thought.
The proposed free transit motion for youth 18 and under was passed at Vancouver City Council. Council voted 10-1 in support of the decreased fares, with NPA Councillor Colleen Hardwick voting against. Transit users at the BCIT Burnaby campus gave their take on the fare break.
I think that it's a great idea because most kids that are in high school don't really have jobs, and I think that relying on our parents for money is not always great because some of our parents don't make a lot of money.
I'm a parent, so it'll be cool for me that my kid will be free on transit, so especially on low income tax or low incomes. Yeah, it'll be good for us.
I think they should be getting free transit because they are not working yet, so it's like an extra money that is charged to their parents, right?
Colleen Hardwick was the lone councillor to vote against the motion. During a meeting, Hardwick shared her concerns about the cost, saying there is no free ride. Money does not fall from the sky, and sometimes we need to make hard choices. It makes absolute sense to me to be supporting people living with poverty, but across the board, to be saying everyone up to 18 gets a free ride, and somehow that is a justification. We cannot just continually be asking taxpayers. This isn't the first time a city council in the region has made a request to TransLink to consider free transit for youth. A New Westminster city councillor made a similar request in July of 2018. At that time, TransLink said it was open to starting a dialogue on the idea of free transit for kids. Owen Simpson in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine. At the Vancouver Lookout, that was BCIT Magazine for this week. I'm Owen Simpson.
And I'm Natalia Cuevas-Waiko, and we leave you now with more from the Vancouver Women's March.
She fell from the sky, everyone watched supernatural.